Hey YouTube, Ed here with Jack of All Trades, and welcome to another video. So what we're going to do today is we are going to build a gravity-fed water filtration system. Very similar to that of a Berkey. Anybody who's done any research on water filtration systems has probably heard the name Berkey. And Berkey actually makes a very nice unit. I'm not going to sit here and bash them. I've seen their units and they're very well constructed and they look like they're very nicely made. They're also very, very expensive, usually north of $300. And then the filters themselves to replace them are north of $150. So they're very expensive units, not only to buy initially, but to maintain. So in typical Jack of all trades fashion, today what we're going to do is we're going to build our own. I'm going to build it all with parts that I purchased off of Amazon, and we are going to keep it very inexpensive. And then we're going to do some testing on it. We're going to see how it works. So enough talking. Let's go ahead and let's build a filter. So before we get the video going, I just want to give a big shout out to new subscriber, #JustADad. Thank you very much for being a subscriber. I very much appreciate it. Big shout out to you. I also want to give a quick apology. This video is going to get rather long. I didn't realize how big this project was going to be. I will try to condense it down as much as possible. If you're looking for the results of the filter, they are going to be towards the end of the video. I'll give you all the results of what I had on the filtration system after the water's been filtered. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Let's build a filter. And welcome back. So yes, like I said in the intro, we're going to build a water filtration system. Now, we're going to actually go one step further. Once I build the filtration system, then we're going to run some water through it and we're going to test it. I bought a bunch of these home test kits, and I bought some home test kit strips. And between these two test kits, I should be able to determine whether or not the water coming out of the filter is at least safe to drink, because that is the whole point of this. I want to be able to build a water filtration system that I can use up here in my hunting cabin, and I can run my well water through it and have decent, clean water to drink and consume, to make coffee with and to cook with and all that kind of business. Now, my well here at my hunting cabin is basically a sand point. And it's only down about 20 feet. It's as far as I could drive it. But we are in a very sandy soil here, and there's a lot of gravel. And my sand point actually ended up in the gravel layer. So I actually have very good water here, considering I'm only going down 20 feet. But at the same time, it's not down deep enough where you're getting really good filtration on it. I did take a water sample into my local city. They did test it and they said, yeah, it's potable. You can drink it. But those circumstances can change from one year to the next depending on how much rain we get and blah, 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 blah. And things can constantly change with a shallow well like that. Since I'm not down at least 50 feet, it's questionable on whether the water is any good. So I'm going to build the filter. Then I'm going to filter 2 gallons of water out of my well. I've got a local gravel pit here. I'm going to go take 2 gallons of water from my local gravel pit. I'm going to filter that. I have a friend here who's dug a pond, so he has a consistent water source. I'm going to go take 2 gallons of water from his pond, and we're going to filter that and test it. I also have a ditch just a little north of the cabin here, and it is chock full of water, and it is not moving. It is stagnant, slow-moving water. It's nasty. I wouldn't want to wash my hands in that water, much less drink it. So we're really going to put this thing through the test and through the ringer, and we're going to sample that water as well and see how the filtration system filters that water as well. So enough talking. Let's go ahead and let's build a filter. All right, so to build this filter, what do we need? I need 2 buckets, and I've got 2 3.5 gallon food grade plastic buckets with lids. I actually got them in a pack of 3 from Amazon, and they cost me like 38 bucks. You also need filters. Now you can get away with just 1 filter, or you can put 2 filters in. I'm going to put in 2 filters. The box says this is good for filtering up to 6,000 gallons of water, 3,000 gallons per filter. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to stick 2 filters in there right away and just get it over with. And that, incidentally, that's how the Berkey system is set up as well. And then I bought water spigots. You actually put these water spigots in the bottom of the bucket here so that you can actually have a way to dispense the water without having to dip it or pour it or anything of that effect. So all this stuff all together, the filters, the water spigot, and the buckets, the 3-pack of buckets, and oh, by the way, you get 2 spigots. I got 2 spigots with it in a package of 2, so I could feasibly make another one. But all told, the 3 buckets, the 2 filters, the 2 water spigots, I've got less than $80 into this thing. So I'm already way cheaper than the Berkey. Now I just have to put it together and assemble it. Now before we do that, I did not buy Berkey filters. I did a little research and I did a little looking into it, and Berkey filters are actually made in China. I happen to know somebody who has a Berkey, so when I got these in the mail, I took them over to his house and we compared them. They're identical in diameter. They're identical in color, shape, size, smell, weight, feel. I can see no difference between these filters and the Berkey filters other than the price and the packaging that they came in. Other than that, these are supposed to be a direct fit for the Berkey filter. Other than that, they look identical, they look the same. They're both made in China, and kicker here, neither one of these filter sets are NSF 53 certified. NSF 53 is kind of the standard for potable water. You know, it measures your suspended particulates. It measures if you got any bacteria or anything bad in the water that's going to give you the trots or make you sick or possibly cause harm in the future. The Berkey filter is not NSF 53 certified, and neither are these, which is why I bought test kits. We're going to filter all these different types of water out, and we're going to test them, because that way we know whether the water is good or whether it's not. But all told, I've got less than $80 into this, and we're going to see how these filters work, and we're going to see how it filters those 4 different kinds of waters I talked about earlier. So let's go ahead and let's get started building a filter. Bucket number 1. We're just going to drill 2 holes in it. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Careful not to make your hole too big. And it looks like it fits right in the hole like it's supposed to. So let's go ahead and drill hole number 2. Okay. So I've got 2 holes drilled. Very, very simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cover. I'm going to put the bucket on top of my cover. I'm going to take a Sharpie marker and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark 2 holes in the cover where I need to drill. And these holes I'm actually going to drill them out just a hair bit bigger. So now the way this should work, I've got bucket number 1 with no holes in it. That's where the cover goes. Put the filters inside of bucket number 2, line them up, and then as I pour water into bucket number 2, it should filter down through into bucket number 1. So we'll go ahead and take the filter. Let's go ahead and install it just for fit up, because we still have to wash these filters. They are brand new. I haven't even washed them yet. So now it just basically needs to sit on top of the other lid without problem, and it does. It's perfect. There's no problems there whatsoever. And if I take the lid off, you can see they're both sticking through the bottom. So that is exactly the way that's supposed to work. So that part's done. Now we have to install a spigot. Oh, Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Because now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put some water in here and see if it leaks. All right, so I've got water in there and I'm seeing no leaking, no dripping, so we're set and ready to go there. We're all good. So there it is. The filter's basically built. Now we just have to follow the manufacturer's instructions on how to properly soak and clean the filters before we go ahead and use this. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, so I've got the filters put back on. Everything's ready to go. We're just gonna run some standard water through here and just let it drip through the system just to make sure everything's working correctly. And then when that's done, we'll go ahead and we'll empty the bottom bucket out and we'll go up and we'll collect some other water and we'll start filtering some water and see how this thing works. Alright, so we've got it full and I can actually hear the water running through the filter now, so it's obviously working. So we're just going to let one bucket cycle through and then we'll start filtering water for real. Ooh, that water is cold. We'll get ditch water and pond water next. Alright, so we've got the remnants of a beaver dam here, and you can see this ditch has got water in it, and it's not moving real fast, so we'll take 2 gallons of water out of here, and we'll see if we can filter this as well. Alright. That's our 2 gallons of ditch water. So you can see I'm at my buddy's house and he had right there, he's had a pond dug. So he's got a permanent water source. So we're going to go ahead and pull 2 gallons of water from that pond. And then we're going to filter that and see how that filters out. Alright, so last night I went ahead and I filtered 3 gallons of water from my well, and I did a bacteria vial from the well. I also did a strip test on the particulates that came out of the water, and I tried to get it on video, but for whatever reason my video got corrupted. But there was no appreciable particulates or anything, but that is water coming out of my Sandpoint well. Now I've got my ditch water, my water from the gravel pit here, and I've got water from my buddy's pond, and we're going to go ahead now and I'm going to empty these buckets out, and I'm going to do the pond water first, then I will do the pit water, and then I'm going to save the ditch water for last. And as you can see, the ditch water is pretty nasty. It's got a lot of crap floating in it, so we'll save that one for the very last and we'll see how the filter turns it out. Okay, so we've got the ditch water in the bucket now, and I think I've got enough to pull a sample. So I want to focus your attention on this glass of water right here. This is straight ditch water, and I also did a bacteria test on the straight ditch water, so it's labeled ditch number 1. So this is pre-filter. This is just straight out of the ditch. This glass and this bacteria test will be ditch 2, which is what's going to come out of the filter. So let's go ahead and first, let's pull a sample. Immediately you can notice a clarity difference. Right off the bat, you can tell there is a huge difference in clarity. So the ditch, or the filter, actually did an excellent job of filtering out the sediment and the impurities and all the crap, and it actually even changed the color of the ditch water. So now let's go ahead and let's pull a bacteria sample. I've got the vial here labeled ditch 2. Go ahead and open it up. Find my mark. "25 milliliters of water." Go ahead and seal it up and give her a shake. We got to let this sit for 24 to 48 hours. So we will come back after 24 hours of sitting, and we will see how the bacteria samples pan out. Okay, my testing's all done, and I've actually got a bit of a result, which is exciting for me. Now I did not pre-test my well water, the pond water, or the gravel pit water for bacteria because I didn't have enough of these bacteria test kits. And they're kind of expensive. So I only did a test after the fact to make sure that these 3 sources were clean of bacteria, and they are. However, the ditch water, I had an extra bacteria kit, 1. So the ditch water, which was by far and away the dirtiest water, there was stuff floating in there, there's minnows swimming in there, there's frogs in there. I happen to know for a fact that there are beavers living in that water. There's muskrats living in that water. The deer cross that water. The wolves, the coyotes, the fox, every other critter is crossing that ditch to get from one side to the other. I had a reasonably high suspicion that there would be some bacteria in the ditch water. And lo and behold, ditch 1, which was the unfiltered, ditch 2, which is filtered. You can see there's a very distinct color difference. And I actually took a picture which is going to show the color difference a little better. I'll show it right now. You can very clearly see that ditch 1 had some bacteria in it because the color of the water did change. I don't know what the bacteria is, but what I do know is that there was some sort of bacteria in that water, and after filtering it, the bacteria is non-existent. You can see ditch 2 is the same color as pit, pond, and well, so that means ditch 2 water is actually clean and good to drink. Ditch 1 definitely had some bacteria in it. So the filter, at the end of the day, whatever garbage was in ditch 1, the unfiltered ditch water, has been filtered out by the filtration system. That is unequivocal. I can put that one to bed. Now the test strip portion of it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read these because I can't do it from memory. Total chlorine. None of the samples I took had any chlorine in them whatsoever. So pre-filter, post-filter, the chlorine stayed the same because it was non-existent. Free chlorine, again, no free chlorine was in the water in any of the samples. Hardness. The hardness was actually not too bad. The ditch water, the pond water, and the pit water, and my well water hardness was well within what people consider to be okay. And then after running it through the filter, the hardness went down. So running it through the filter did seem to help with the hardness. Alkalinity was about the same as like hardness. It was well within what people consider acceptable, and it seemed to go down a little bit after filtration. Nitrates, or nitrate and nitrite. Nitrate and nitrite, there was trace amounts of nitrate and nitrite in the water pre-filter. After I filtered it, it was almost non-existent. You couldn't even read it on the test strip. The color was the color of non-existent nitrates and nitrites. Fluoride, there was no fluoride in the water pre-filter or post-filter. Iron, there was some iron from my well, and there was a little bit of iron from my buddy's pond. The ditch water and the gravel pit water didn't have any iron elements in it. After filtration, the two samples that did have iron in it, the iron did go down. It didn't go away, but it did go down, and it was well within acceptable levels. Carbonate, there was no carbonates in the samples from the well or the gravel pit. My buddy's pond had a little bit of carbonate in it, and the ditch had some carbonate in it. Those levels also went down to acceptable. Copper, my well water had copper in it, and I know why, because the sand point is made of copper. The pipe itself was not copper, but the screens inside the sand point that filter the sand out and allow the water in are copper screens. That's probably why I had copper in my well sample. After filtration, copper was non-existent. There was nothing in there for copper. pH was high across the board. Pre-filter and post-filter, the pH was just high. The only problem really with high pH is an unpleasant odor or taste. I didn't seem to detect any odor or taste after filtering, but before filtering, my well water definitely had some odor and it definitely had some taste. So running it through the filter, the taste and the odor was dramatically reduced, and the water actually tasted great. It was very good water. I had one lead test, and I used that on my well water, and it came up lead free, and I did that after filtration. So those are all the tests. And then the bacteria test, which I've already showed you. Now, what have I learned? I have learned that building the filter is by far and away cheaper than buying it. The filters that I did buy, which are not Berkey filters, seem to be very effective. What's most promising on the effectiveness of the filter is that the bacteria did get filtered out of the ditch water sample. So I'm very, very happy that that happened. That means that the filters are working, and any trace levels of anything else that were in any of the samples did get reduced after running it through the filter. Well within the guidelines of the EPA on what these things should be. And I was just reading off of the back of the chart that they gave me with the filter test kits. The odor went down, the taste improved, especially out of my well. I probably drank 1.5 gallons of that water coming out of my well after I filtered it. I did not get sick, I did not get diarrhea, I did not get stomach cramps. I don't seem to have any problems. So what I have learned is that taking water out of my well or the gravel pit or my buddy's pond or the ditch, I would have no problem whatsoever drinking any of those waters after running them through the filtration system. Now, don't take my word for it as gospel. I am not a water expert. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a physicist. I am not a rocket scientist. I am nobody. I'm some dumb schmuck out here on YouTube who bought some test kits, made a water filter. I filtered some water, and hey, my results came out pretty good, and I've got good confidence in the fact that after running water through that filter, I'd be willing to drink it. I'd certainly be willing to cook with it. But I encourage you, please do not take my word for it. Do your own testing. Come to your own conclusions. These were just my results. Am I going to continue to use the filter? Absolutely, I'm going to continue using the filter. I'm actually going to put a filter kit together, and I'm going to put it in my prep package, and I am going to start prepping. Keep watching videos. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for prepping, right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm going to do a lot of research, and I'm going to do some prepping videos coming to you soon. But I'm actually going to build a water filtration kit out of buckets, have it all sealed up, have all the holes drilled, have everything ready to go, and just lock it all together and have a on-the-go water filtration system that I can take with me so I can make filtered water if we ever have a poop hits the fan situation or a zombie apocalypse or whatever. That all being said, I'm very happy with the results. I'm very happy with the fact that the filter did exactly what I was hoping it would do, which was to give me the level of confidence I need to drink the water coming out of my well up at my hunting cabin. All that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this video up. It's already getting quite long. Now, if you're liking this channel, please, if you're liking this content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. Make sure you ring that notification bell so you get notified of upcoming videos, and hit me with the comments. It helps with the algorithms. It doesn't cost you a thing to do, and it really does truly help me out. So hit that subscribe button for me. I would really, really appreciate it. This is Ed with Jack of All Trades. As always, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on the next video.